I know it's been a while since I've done my last video, but I'm excited to do this video because it's based on March Madness, which is one of the best tournaments of the year in all of sports. However, I have to start off this video by reading off a special request from one of my relatives that was requested about 2 months ago. Me and my uncle had a little bet that if Michigan won the national championship in football this year, I would do some type of dare or something of that nature. Here is what he texted me on January 9th, a day after Michigan beat Washington in the national championship. I quote, "The deal last year was to color your hair maize and blue. The deal this season was you have to join Wolverine fandom. Welcome to the club. You also have to publicly admit that Harbaugh is one of the best football coaches of all time, and that JJ is goated. As a starter, he had only one loss in high school and one in college. Harbs and JJ also are great humans, which is far more important than being good at sports. Go Blue." I would also like to add that Michigan in basketball this year went 8-24, losing their last 9 games and losing in the first round of the Big Ten tournament. So Michigan isn't perfect. Now on to my March Madness bracket predictions. Starting in the East region, I got UConn over Stetson because no 1 seed is losing to a 16 seed this year. I got FAU over Northwestern because FAU just went to the Final Four last year and they brought back virtually all of their players. I got San Diego State over UAB. I know the 12-5 matchup is it's a very popular upset pick, but this is not the 12 seed you want to be picking to upset a 5, even though San Diego State is probably the worst 5 seed in this tournament. I got Auburn over Yale. Yale barely beat Brown, who is 13-17 in the Ivy League championship, and Auburn is by far the best 4 seed in this tournament. I got BYU over Duquesne. I didn't even know how to pronounce Duquesne until yesterday. That's how nobody of a school they are. So give me BYU. Give me Illinois over Morehead State. Terrence Shannon Jr. is really, really good. He just dropped 40 points, a Big Ten record, in the semifinals, and then 34 points in the finals. Just too much firepower. My first 6 picks of this East region were all favored teams, but moving on to Washington State versus Drake, I got the 10 seed beating the 7 seed. I just don't trust the Pac-12, and especially Washington State. I don't trust them. And Drake is a really good sleeper pick. I don't think they'll go far in the tournament, but at least they'll get past the first round. And then for the 215, I got Iowa State over South Dakota State. I saw a stat. For the last 3 15 seeds to beat a 2 seed, all of them were top 2 in their conference standings, in the respective conference standings. The only 15 seed to finish top 2 was South Dakota State. So they are the best 15 seed by the numbers, but Iowa State's just too good. Moving on to the West region, I got North Carolina over either Howard or Wagner, depends on who wins that matchup in the first 4. I got Michigan State over Mississippi State. Watch out for Michigan State. I'm telling you right now, I know they're like 19-14, but please watch out for Michigan State. Now, this might look terrible after the first day of the tournament, but you'll see how far I got Michigan State going. Another popular upset pick, of course, is a 5-12. It's St. Mary's versus Grand Canyon. I don't got Grand Canyon winning, though. Do not pick this. Grand Canyon are frauds. I know they have like 28, 29 wins. They won their conference tournament, I think. But St. Mary's has a really good defense. They were undefeated at home for the first 14 games. I know they play in the West Coast Conference, but still, that's really impressive. My biggest upset pick of this entire first round is Alabama versus Charleston, and I got Charleston winning. Basically because Charleston is undefeated when they score 80 points or more this season, and Alabama has a below-average defense. Charleston has a top 10 offense, so I think that statistic runs true, and Charleston gets the win while scoring more than 80. That was the 13-4 matchup. Now for the next game, that's Clemson versus New Mexico, and I got New Mexico winning. I just don't trust Clemson. Clemson is by far the weakest 6 seed. They could easily be a 7 or 8 seed if the committee just flipped a coin, really. They really aren't that good. I got Baylor over Colgate. That's a 3-14 matchup. That's pretty self-explanatory. They got 2 NBA players. I got Dayton over Nevada. Now this one I might switch, but I don't know. I might switch this. but probably not. Dayton has Deron Holmes the second, probably a top 20 NBA player this upcoming draft. And I got Arizona over Long Beach State. I know they lost to the 15 seed last year, Princeton. It ain't gonna happen this year. They got Caleb Love. That's the Pac-12 Player of the Year. Moving on to the other side, the South region, I got Houston over Longwood. Like I said, no 16 is beating a 1 this year, even though it happened last year. I got Texas A&M over Nebraska. Texas A&M, if they get past the first round or even the second round when they play Houston eventually, if my predictions come true, they could become a very dangerous team. They're really bipolar. They either are really offensively explosive or they just can't make shots. It's one or the other, not in between. That's why they're hit or miss. For the 5-12, I got Wisconsin versus James Madison, and this is where I picked my 12 over a 5. Wisconsin was as high as 6th in the AP poll, projected as a number 2 seed, and then they dropped off. And I know they just made the Big Ten Championship. They got A.J. Storer, players like that, but James Madison has 31 wins on the season. 31. I got Duke over Vermont. Vermont is good. They made the tournament like 4 straight years or something like that, but it's Duke. They got too much skilled players with the recruiting and stuff. I got Texas Tech over NC State. NC State is a really popular pick this year. They just went on a magical run, 5 games in 5 days in the ACC tournament as the 10 seed. And that's the only reason they made the tournament. But I think they're just too worn out. I think they get beat by Texas Tech. I got Kentucky over Oakland, and Kentucky is the fan favorite to win because they got all these skilled freshmen. Like, for example, my brother loves Kentucky. He picked them to win the national championship. And I saw an expert talk about Kentucky. They have a Final Four offense, but a round of 32 defense. So I averaged it out, and you'll see how far I think they go. I got either Colorado or Boise State, whichever one wins their first 4 matchup over Florida. And Florida did just make the SEC championship, and I might look stupid for this, and I might change it. But I don't know. I just feel like I think Colorado will win that first 4 matchup, and Colorado has a lottery pick in Cody Williams. So maybe that'll put them over the edge against Florida. I don't know. Then I got Marquette over Western Kentucky. I watched a YouTube video, and a decent amount of people are picking Western Kentucky over Marquette and then the 2-15 matchup. I just don't see it. Marquette almost beat UConn, the number 1 overall seed, without their best player, Tyler Kolek. I just can't see it. For the last region, I got Purdue over Grambling or Montana State. I expect Montana State to win this because Grambling sucks. But like I said, 1 versus 16 ones are going to win this year, all 4 sweep. Even though Purdue did lose to FDU last year, which is very, very embarrassing. I got Utah State over TCU. This is the most even matchup. I don't really have a reason, I guess, because Utah State has more wins. But other than that, it's just really a coin flip. Now this is my biggest sleeper. I got another 5-12 upset. I got McNeese, the 12 seed, over Gonzaga, the 5 seed. Even though Gonzaga, they had a down year this year, but they have Mark Few, one of the best coaches ever. They've been on a dominant tournament run. They've made like 25 straight tournaments. This is one of their worst teams over that span. And McNeese really grades out really well in the analytics part of this discussion, these predictions that people are having. So I got McNeese over Gonzaga. I got Kansas over Samford. I know Kansas has disappointed this season. They started out the preseason number 1, but the reason why they fell down like late in the season is because of injuries, and now they're expected to be healthy. So I got Kansas beating Samford. For the 6-11, I got Oregon, the 11 seed, over South Carolina, the 6 seed. South Carolina has like 26 wins, which at face value, you're like, why are they a 6 seed? Because you'll see later in this region, the 2 seed has 24 wins, and they're in the same conference, so it's not like they have a bad conference. It's because they're frauds. South Carolina is frauds. They just lost to Auburn by 30, who they just lost to them previously in the year by 40, and I just can't pick a team to even win 1 game against a team that just won the Pac-12 championship in Oregon, so I got Oregon. I got Creighton over Akron. Now, I don't trust Creighton. They're probably the worst 3 seed in this tournament. But Akron is Akron. They have like 21 wins, 14 losses. They're just not a popular pick. I got Texas over either Colorado State or Virginia. I just don't like the first 4 teams against Texas. Texas wins that one. They got Max Abmas, Dylan DeSue. Really good. And then I got Tennessee, who I was just talking about in my South Carolina-Oregon game. They have 24 wins, which is less than South Carolina, but they're 4 seeds higher. That's because Tennessee is actually a really good team. They were projected to be a number 1 seed until they lost in the SEC tournament. They're facing St. Peter's that went on a magical run 2 years ago to the Elite 8 as a 15 seed. They're back as a 15 seed this year, but it isn't going to happen. Moving on to the second round in the East region, I got UConn over FAU. FAU's not making the Final Four this year. They were as high as like top 10 in the AP poll, but they were pretty overrated. For the 4-5, I got Auburn over San Diego State. This one's probably going to be a massive blowout. I'm not planning on watching this game the full way through because I expect it to be a 20-point game by 15 minutes in the second half. I got Illinois over BYU. Now, I don't really trust BYU, and Illinois is on a hot streak, so give me Illinois. And I got Iowa State over Drake. Iowa State is just really, 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 really good. So in the Sweet 16, I got 1-4-3-2, so pretty chalk. Moving on to the next region, I got the 9 seed Michigan State beating the 1 seed North Carolina, and Michigan State is 19-14, but trust me, they're beating the 1 seed, and they're gonna make it far. Just watch. I'm not lying. I got St. Mary's over Charleston. St. Mary's just has too much defense for Charleston. Even though Charleston has a way better offense, defense wins championships, defense wins tournament games. And St. Mary's doesn't have an inept offense. They still have an average to a low above average offense. It's just they have too much defense for Charleston. I got Baylor over New Mexico. This is actually a popular pick. A lot of people I'm seeing are picking New Mexico over Baylor if they have both these teams making the second round. I just don't see it. I don't see it. They did win the Mountain West tournament, and the Mountain West is one of the 7 best conferences. They're in the Power 7, some would like to call it. The committee didn't trust the Mountain West. They have some really, really bad seeding. They had 6 teams make it, but the committee doesn't trust the Mountain West, so I don't trust the Mountain West. And then I got Arizona over Dayton. This game should be a blowout. Arizona's too skilled. They have the skill and the talent to be a 1 seed, but there's just too many good teams this year. Now, I know I was just gassing up Texas A&M, but I do think they lose to Houston. Houston is a 1 seed for a reason. I already have a 1 seed losing in the second round in North Carolina, so I just can't bring myself to do it. And Texas A&M is really on-off. James Madison's a really popular pick to make the Sweet 16 as a 12 seed. But I don't got them making the Sweet 16. I think they lose to Duke, the 4 seed. There's not really a reason. I just don't want 2 12 seeds and up to make the Sweet 16. And you'll see I have 1 12 seed making the Sweet 16. Kentucky versus Texas Tech. I got Kentucky. People are picking Texas Tech because Kentucky doesn't have a defense. But they have so much firepower. They probably have the best offense in the country. It's either them or Alabama. And I think the offense will be too much. And they have some good shot blockers. Now, their guards don't play any defense except for, like, Reed Shepard with the steals. And Texas Tech is a really deep team. But I just think Kentucky will pull it out in the end. And then I got Marquette over either Colorado or Boise State. That's the first 4 teams. No reason. Just don't want a first 4 team to make the Sweet 16 this year. For the next region, I got Purdue over Utah State. Now, the more I look at this game, the more I feel scared for Purdue because Utah State was the 1 seed in the Mountain West, and the Mountain West is a really good conference this year. They didn't end up winning their tournament, just like Purdue didn't win their tournament as the 1 seed. But I think Purdue, they have the best player in college basketball since probably Zion Williamson. And I think that'll put him over the edge. Zach Edey is that guy. I just talked about how a 12 seed will make the Sweet 16, and that 12 seed is McNeese State. They beat Kansas. McNeese State. I saw this graphic where the last 8 champions had certain statistics like no 20-point per game scorer, top 20 in defensive efficiency, and like top 30 in offensive efficiency. McNeese State gets all of those checkmarked. Now, I don't think they'll win the national championship, but it is a good reference to say they will at least make the Sweet 16. And that's what I got them going to. Now, I originally had Creighton beating Oregon, but now overlooking it, I do think Oregon will win this game. And part of it is because I had all 2 and 3 seeds making the Sweet 16, and I just don't like how that looks. So the 11 seed Oregon will beat the 3 seed Creighton. Yeah. And then I got Tennessee over Texas. I don't really trust Texas. Now, they do have some good players, and I did pick them last year to win, but they lost a bunch of those players, and it broke my heart seeing Texas lose in the Elite Eight last year. So I just can't run it back. I can't do it. Moving on to the Sweet 16, UConn versus Auburn. I will have Auburn winning this game. They're the only team in the country to be top 10 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. And I saw a video explaining why they think UConn will win instead of Auburn, and that's because Auburn plays really well against the teams that are worse than them, but struggles heavily against the teams that are better than them. I don't agree. I think Auburn will win this game. UConn is in a really tough region, so that's my reason. Moving on to the next one, Illinois versus Iowa State. I will have Illinois winning, because there are a lot of people who say that Iowa State is only good at home, and March Madness isn't home-based. It's all neutral for the most part. So I think that kills Iowa State's dreams of making the Elite Eight. Auburn versus Illinois in the East Final is what I have. In the West, I got Michigan State versus St. Mary's, the 9 versus the 5, and I got Michigan State winning. And I know this is crazy, but just wait until I tell you this is gonna happen. I promise you. I promise. For the next game, Baylor versus Arizona, I got Baylor. Now, like I said with Washington State, I don't trust the Pac-12. Arizona didn't even win their conference tournament. They lost to Oregon, who is a good team, but it's not that impressive to lose to Oregon. So I got Michigan State, the 9 seed, versus the 3 seed Baylor in the West Final. In the next region, I got Houston versus Duke. I got Houston winning. I don't see in my mind a possibility of Duke making the Elite Eight. Houston is too good, and Duke is really inconsistent. And usually Duke is full of freshmen like Kentucky is. Just the blue bloods like that. But this year is way different. They got some upperclassmen, some juniors, seniors. Even though their best player is a sophomore, Kyle Filipowski. And the 2-3 matchup, I got Kentucky versus Marquette. I got Kentucky winning. Kentucky, this is where I predicted them to go. They have a round of 32 defense and a Final Four offense. So average that out, it's between Elite 8 and Sweet 16. I picked the Elite 8 because they have so much offensive talent. So Houston versus Kentucky, the 1 versus the 3, and the South Final. In the last region, the first matchup is 1 seed Purdue versus 12 seed McNeese State. This is where McNeese State's run ends. Purdue is too good. They don't have anyone to guard Zach Edey, the best player in college basketball, the reigning player of the year, going to be 2-time player of the year. So Purdue makes the Elite Eight, and they face either Oregon or Tennessee, according to my predictions. And I would have Tennessee winning this game. This is where again Oregon's run ends. Tennessee is too good. Oregon's Cinderella run ends here. They just don't have that much talent. If Oregon wouldn't have won their tournament, they wouldn't even be here. So, just off that fact, I can't see them going that far, really. So, in the Midwest Final, I got Purdue versus Tennessee, the 1 versus the 2. And this is the only matchup in my Elite Eight that is a 1 versus the 2. So, I like how this bracket's forming. I really do. Moving back up to the East region, the Elite Eight is between Auburn and Illinois, the 3 versus the 4. I got 4 seed Auburn making the Final Four. The last time they won the SEC championship before this year was in 2019, and coincidentally, that was the year they made the Final Four. So I think history repeats itself. Auburn makes the Final Four with that top 10 offense and top 10 defense. I think it's going to happen. Going on to the next region, I got Michigan State, the 9 seed, winning over the 3 seed Baylor, and I'll finally tell you the reason. Since 2013, there has been at least one 7 seed or higher in the Final Four, except for 1 year. That year was 2019. So in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and then 21, 22, 23, there has been a 7 seed or higher in the Final Four, and this is my pick. This is my prediction to have that 7 seed or higher in the Final Four, and it's Michigan State. They were the preseason number 4 team, so they obviously had the skill. But I don't know. I don't really know what happened to them. They lost the first game of the season to James Madison, who ended up being a really, really good team. 31 wins. I just think it happens. And people are clowning me. The people I keep telling, they're clowning me. But I'm gonna prove them wrong. I swear to you, I'm gonna prove them wrong. Just watch. Moving to the other side, Houston versus Kentucky, and I got Houston winning this game. I don't see Kentucky getting past Houston, who has the best defense in the country. Now, sometimes their offense struggles, which could play in Kentucky's favor heavily, but I don't think Kentucky even gets to 75 if they're playing Houston. Houston is just that good defensively. The last region, Purdue versus Tennessee, I got Purdue winning this game. I think it's just Purdue's time to not disappoint their fans. They got Zach Edey. Now, Tennessee does have probably the second best player in college basketball, Dalton Knecht. So this is going to be a really star-studded matchup, and I hope it comes true so I can actually see who outperforms who. Now, I expect it to be Zach Edey, who is going to win his back-to-back two straight Player of the Year awards. And that I think that'll put him over the edge. And the difference between this Purdue team and last year's Purdue team is they have so many more shooters. Last year they were 32% from 3 as a team. This year they're 41%, and that's second in the nation. That's why I got them going to the Final Four. Now in the Final Four, on the left side, Auburn, the 4 seed, coming out of the East region, versus the 9 seed Michigan State coming out of the West region. Now I do think this is where Michigan State's run ends. Auburn, the one fun fact about Auburn, all of their wins except for one have come by double digits. The only win this entire season for Auburn, who they have 27 wins, the only win that was under 10 points was in the SEC semifinals against Mississippi State. They won by 7. That's how dominant they are. So I got them going to the national championship. They're just way too good. And then on the other side, Houston versus Purdue, 2 number 1 seeds. I got Purdue winning this game. The main reason being Houston, even though they are the best defense in the country, they are kind of undersized, especially at the power forward and center. I'm pretty sure their tallest player in the starting lineup and in their rotation is 6'10". Now they do have really long wingspans, but you're talking about a 7'4" monster in Purdue's Zach Edey, and I think that'll be too much. So in my championship, I got Auburn, the 4 seed, versus the 1 seed Purdue, and I got Purdue winning. Now, the last time a 16 seed beat a 1 seed before Purdue did it was in 2018. UMBC beat Virginia. Now you know what Virginia did the next year? They won the national championship. Now last year Purdue lost to FDU, a 16 seed, while being the 1 seed. So I think history repeats itself. Purdue wins the national championship. I think the score will be 71-67. That'll be the tiebreaker. Purdue wins the national championship. I'm going to win this $1 billion because my bracket is going to be perfect. I'm going to be a billionaire. Just watch. I'm going to drop out of school. I'm going to go travel the world because I'm going to be a billionaire. Trust me. Have a good day. Goodbye.